My wife died a saint, then her phone destroyed my life. The call. The call came on the first day of February. It was early, too early for casual conversation. The kind of hour when phones only ring for emergencies or mistakes. I answered without thinking. At first, all I could hear was breathing, broken, uneven, desperate. Then the sound of crying. Not quiet crying. Not controlled grief. This was the kind that came from deep inside the chest, where words had already failed. I asked him to slow down. He tried. He failed. When he finally spoke, his voice sounded unfamiliar, like a man speaking through water. What happened to me, he said, is mysterious. Unimaginable. I asked him where he was. London, he replied. But my life is somewhere else now. That was when the story began. The marriage. He met his wife in Nigeria. Not through apps. Not through introductions. They met the ordinary way, through life, through proximity, through time. They married young, full of plans but without guarantees. Years later, he traveled to the United Kingdom. When he settled, he filed for her properly. No shortcuts. No lies. Everything done by the book. She joined him in London, and together they built something rare, a quiet marriage. 13 years. 2 children. No police visits. No infidelity accusations. No long silences that turned into hatred. They argued, yes, but they resolved. They talked. They shared money. They shared fear. They shared faith in the ordinary future. Their first child was a boy. Their second, a girl. He said this repeatedly during the call, as if repetition might protect the memory. My wife loved me, he said. We loved our children. There was no bitterness in his voice at this point. Only certainty. The illness. It started quietly. Fatigue. Tests. More tests. Then the call from the hospital. Cancer. Not advanced. Not terminal. But present. Traces in her blood. The word landed like a sentence without punctuation, no beginning, no end, just suspended meaning. He told me he felt disoriented. Lost. As if someone had rearranged the furniture of his life while he was asleep. He couldn't imagine the house without her. But she could. She was calm. Measured. Encouraging. She told him not to think too much. That treatment existed. That research had advanced. That fear would do more harm than the disease. She never cried in front of him. The turning point. Instead of withdrawing, she leaned forward into life. She joined an international cancer research commission. At first as a participant. Then as a consultant. Later, as an advocate. She visited patients with the same variant. She spoke to families. She encouraged people who had already begun to say goodbye to themselves. The work paid well. Very well. And because it did, their household changed shape. He became the one who stayed back. School runs. Cooking. Laundry. Hospital appointments. He took care of the children. He took care of her. He told me something important during the call. Something most people would miss. She never looked sick. No hair loss. No visible weight change. No weakness. She was dying by science, but living by appearance. The countdown. One morning, she said it plainly. I have 1 year left. She explained it clinically. Statistics. Projections. Scientific probability. She added, gently, that miracles existed, but probability still ruled the calendar. Months passed. Then 6. Then 3. He begged her to stop counting out loud. Told her the numbers were killing him faster than the illness was killing her. That was when the roles fully reversed. She became the one comforting him. She told him to be strong, to take care of the children. And then, quietly, she said something that would later destroy him. If you ever remarry, she said, choose a woman who will love my children. At work, his colleagues noticed. He was losing weight. He looked sick. He made mistakes. No one knew why. The death. It happened suddenly. She said she didn't feel well. She was admitted. 1 week later, the doctor called. She was gone. No dramatic scene. No long farewell. Just a sentence delivered over the phone that ended a life and split another in half. He had to pick up the children from school. Because in the Western world, grief is private and systems do not pause. He buried her with borrowed money. Painfully. Successfully. When he finished this part of the story, there was silence on the line. I didn't interrupt. Because this wasn't the story. This was only the foundation. What followed, months later, would turn love into confusion, grief into rage, and memory into evidence. And it would begin with a diary. The diary and subtle dread. Grief does not move in straight lines. 3 months after the burial, life had not improved, but it had become quieter. Quieter in the way abandoned houses are quiet. The children returned to school. He returned to work. Bills continued to arrive with perfect indifference. One afternoon, he began sorting her things. Not because he was ready, but because space demanded it. Clothes first. Then handbags. Then drawers he had never opened before, not because he was forbidden, but because privacy had once mattered. At the bottom of a box, wrapped in an old scarf, he found a diary. It was not decorative. No lock. No dramatic warning. Just a simple notebook, worn at the edges, clearly used. He opened it without fear. At first, it was ordinary. Appointments. Names. Encouraging notes written to herself, affirmations, reminders to rest, prayers scribbled without structure. Then a date stopped him. She had written, an unforgettable day. I made a terrible mistake. No explanation followed. Pages later, another entry. Another unforgettable day. I made a terrible mistake. Further still. First and last mistake. No names. No events. No elaboration. Just dates. The dread did not arrive suddenly. It crept. He closed the diary and did something instinctive, something most people would not admit to. He checked his own. And his breath caught. The dates matched. Exactly. They were the dates their children were born. His body rejected the implication before his mind could process it. He told himself stories, metaphor, guilt, fear, illness. He bound both diaries together and returned them to the box. He did not want answers yet. The hospital call. 1 year passed. On the anniversary of her death, the phone rang. This time, it was the hospital. He declined politely. Told them today was not a day for appointments. The caller paused. That's why we're calling, she said. She explained there was a memorial program organized by the Cancer Research Commission. His wife had been a significant contributor. Advocate. Consultant. Funded researcher. They asked him to come. Against his instincts, he did. The medical director met him personally. They spoke about her work, her influence, her dedication. Then the director said something that shifted the room. You never asked for your wife's phone. He hadn't. Grief had erased practical memory. The director handed it to him. And then a letter. She instructed us, The director said, not to release this until 1 year after her death. She said you would need time. He opened the letter. He did not finish it. His body collapsed before his mind could catch up. When he regained consciousness, he was crying before he understood why. The letter, written by the hospital at her instruction, was factual. Cold. Surgical. It stated that the children were not biologically his. No euphemisms. No emotional cushioning. He accused the room of fabrication. Of cruelty. Of conspiracy. Then they asked him to open the phone. There was a video. His wife lay in a hospital bed. No makeup. No composure. She was crying. Not theatrically. Desperately. I'm sorry, she said. Again. And again. She explained nothing at first. Only regret. Only shame. Then came the details, fragmented, careful, incomplete. A mistake. Years ago. Brief. Contained. Buried. Fear had sealed her silence. Love had sustained the lie. She said she believed the truth would destroy him while she lived, but might spare him when she was gone. She was wrong. Then came the second shock. Her accounts. Hundreds of thousands of pounds. Life insurance. Research funding. Investments. Bonds. A condition existed. To access the funds, he had to legally affirm the children as his. The irony was unbearable. One child looked exactly like him. The other, exactly like her. He refused belief. He ordered DNA test. The results came back definitive. 0% match. Not one child. 13 years collapsed into forensic certainty. He felt hollowed out. Cheated not only of loyalty, but of authorship over his own life. The money felt like blood-stained compensation. The love felt retroactively contaminated. He thought of ending everything. The ending, no forced closure. He did not end it. Not because of strength. But because grief had already taken enough. He did not forgive her. Not fully. He did not abandon the children. Because betrayal does not erase memory. They were still the ones who called him Dad. Still the ones whose nightmares he calmed. Still the ones whose first steps he remembered. He accessed the money. Not as reward. As responsibility. He never remarried. Not because he hated women, but because trust, once shattered at that scale, does not regenerate. He lives now in ambiguity. Loving children who are not his. Mourning a wife who loved him and still lied. There is no moral victory here. Only survival. And the understanding that human beings are capable of deep love and deep deception at the same time. That is the truth. What is your advice for him? Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe.